Alright, is this thing on? I believe it is. Thank you for tuning in to another video. And today I'm going to be talking about kind of the most common trait of having autism, and that's social skills, and how a lot of us like to avoid social situations and tend to appreciate the inner introvert inside of us. Now with that, I'm going to be talking about a couple stories, one that happened a little over a year ago, and one that happened last night. And with that, let's kind of lay out the background. A lot of us in our 20s, where do we hang out? Where's a lot of our social settings? Bars, house parties. And the house parties kind of fade away and you're like 22 when you get out of college. But the bars stick around. And I want to let you know that I am not a drinker. I do not consume alcohol, and that's smart for me, being an autistic and also one who struggles with bipolar. Because consuming a substance that causes very irrational behaviors with a pre-existing condition of channeling irrational behaviors, it's just a shit show. That's just what it is. And so with that, this first story takes place at a bar. So I'm with my friend, and and with his friends themselves, who are alpha fraternity dudes. And so we go to this bar, and again, like I said, I'm not a drinker, so I'm just hanging out with them sober. And I'm actually doing pretty well in this setting. You take me there a couple years ago, I would have flipped. I would have just shut down right away. And another thing I want to mention too, before getting too far into this, is having a plan when you get a little overwhelmed in those social settings. Because that tends to happen, even though you might be very comfortable in that social setting after doing the work, after exposing yourself and putting yourself in those social settings. Sometimes you can hit a switch and you just shut down. That happens. And I mean, it's important to have an out plan, and it's important to be communicating with your group or your friends kind of what's up, like, hey, this has nothing to do with you, but sometimes I might need to step out for a second and, just breathe. So my plan is I always carry CBD vapes with me when I go out. I step out, I vape a little CBD, and, that allows me to do a couple things. CBD helps me relax, and by doing that, it helps me channel in my breathing. And, maybe I'll take a walk around the block and come back. But it's important to let your group know that, hey, I'm stepping out, and I might need this for a few minutes. And again, if they're not receptive to that or not understanding, don't even bother being around those guys. They don't have your best interests of you or the group. And so with that, I go with these guys to the bar. And everything's fine, and the highlight I want to talk about is, being at a bar, especially around alphas, they want to talk to girls. They want to talk to girls who are in vulnerable situations, which include their intoxication, and take advantage of it. And I do not like that. I do not like taking the advantage of talking to a beyond intoxicated person to take advantage of them. And I mean, again, like, I gotta disclaim, I am all about consensual sexual activity or romantic activity, anything like that. And so, trying to take advantage of an intoxicated woman or even a man, no go. That should have been a red flag right away. And so we get to this more open part of this bar. It's kind of outside, there's a terrace kind of thing, just making sure it's still rolling. Wonderful. And with that, this is clearly beyond the point intoxicated girl there. She's stumbling, leaning on every man, just a fucking mess. And so they tell me, hey, go talk to her. Try and, hook up with her in the bathroom stall or something like that. I'm like, ew, no, not really. But I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, try and talk to her as if it's a therapeutic act. Even though I know she's going to deny me, she's probably with someone, and I am not going to go full on the way and take advantage of her. And so I approach her, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? We shoot the shit. And, I'm like, are you with anybody tonight? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, you guys have a great night. I'm gonna leave you guys alone. I go back to the group and they're like, what the fuck, man? I'm like, hey, she was with somebody that night. And they're like, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, it does. I mean, I'm not gonna take advantage of someone who's beyond intoxicated. And, that can be a scary thing, not that fact, but the fact that they would send you over there to fail. Those aren't people you want to be around. That's them trying to satisfy their alpha ego, saying, hey, that guy fucked up when I know I could have gotten her in the bathroom stall. And that's kind of sick right there. A red flag. And, they either do that to satisfy their ego and look at you as someone who's weaker to satisfy their alphaness, or to get even because they know they probably could have gotten denied too, and it makes them feel less bad. And, that's kind of, again, that's just kind of disgusting to me now looking back in retrospect. And luckily I haven't gone out really with those guys since, the extension of my friend. And really him in general, we've just kind of gone to a couple small bars and that time after, which is good with me. I mean, I can live with or without the bar scene, more so without. But with that, I mean, that's pretty much the story there, and how they can look at someone like me and take advantage of it. And something I noticed is a lot of autistics like myself tend to gravitate towards people who approach first. Now, it can be an anxiety in that it could mean that they have an actual, genuine interest, but more than likely I've noticed they're there to take advantage of you. They see you as weaker. And, I've been exploring a lot of self-love, self-confidence this year, and I've noticed a lot of that has kind of subsided. And that's like victory. That is a victory. All right. And so, I mean, having out, be around people that have your best interest. I mean, sometimes you gotta say F you and walk away from that group. I should have done that, but that night was almost over. The messed up part was that night I don't think was even done yet, because it was like 2 in the morning and they went looking for cocaine. They were like, we got to go to Roberto and get some cocaine. We got to go to Papi. We got to go to Papi and get some cocaine, man. Oh, Papi's asleep. We gotta go to someone else and get some cocaine, man. Like, it was fucking crazy. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go back home. I'm not gonna do that shit. Fucking insane. And that says something, then they have more interest in a feeling and chasing that feeling more than enjoying the time around the people themselves. Red flag. Alright, so I said in this video that we would do both parts. However, this turned out to be longer than expected. So down in the description below is part 2 about me being at a concert and learning a few lessons from some steampunks. So I hope to see you guys over there.